Hello again, and thank you for staying with us. Morocco became the first African team to reach the semi-finals of the FIFA World Cup in this year's showpiece in Qatar. The milestone sparked debate as some African fans chose not to celebrate with Morocco, saying they did not feel the team represented the continent. Now, this year also saw President Cyril Ramaphosa edging closer to an impeachment due to the Phala farm scandal. Let's look back at the year that was with Managing Director at Inside Politics, that's Matuma Letsoalo. Matuma, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Now, a number of media outlets in the continent are in general agreement that the major story of the year was that of Morocco's performance at the World Cup in Qatar, and more significantly, the win against Spain in the tournament, which was described as a victory and pride for Africa and the Arab world. But coming back to the continent and the significance of Morocco's football victory over Spain, it is perhaps an irony of history that Spain was once a colonizing force in Morocco. It had been the colony in the Moroccan Sahara until date continues to maintain the enclaves of Quetta and Melilla as well on Moroccan soil. What do you believe is significant about this victory?
Yeah, I mean, indeed, remember the Spain is the former world champions, and the Morocco, the first African country to reach the milestone that they have reached. So the victory against Spain was huge. It actually demonstrated that Africans also want to claim, their position on the world map. But for Moroccans, it was even, beating your former colonizer. It was even bigger and important, very significant for the country.
Now, Matuma, the disputed status of Western Sahara is another contentious issue. It is a former Spanish colony considered a non-self-governing territory by the United Nations, and the issue really has pitted Morocco against the Algeria-backed pro-independence that's the Polisario Front since the 1970s. Let's get a bit more about where this matter stems from. And very interestingly, President Cyril Ramaphosa has vowed his government's unapologetic backing of this partially recognized Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic in the Western Sahara. What is your view considering these diplomatic ties that South Africa still enjoys with Morocco?
Yeah, look, obviously Morocco is one of the African countries, but they've been, the African Union, they have been, you know that the issue of the Western Sahara is one of the biggest and what put Morocco in isolation. Many countries on the continent do not actually agree with Morocco, continuing to their position on the Western Sahara, and this might be. You would know that they are also looking at hosting the World Cup. So this is one of the issues that might come up, but it is also an issue that the African Union will continue to put on the table.
Let's get back to matters back on home soil. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa avoided impeachment on the 13th of December thanks to the support of most members of parliament from the ANC. Now, mired in this scandal for months now, he faces allegations of trying to conceal from the police and tax authorities that 2020 theft of large sums of cash which were hidden in one of his properties. Now, although Parliament voted against the adoption of the report, the panel chaired by the retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo found that the President of the Republic had a case to answer to with regard to this puzzling break-in as well as the theft of foreign currency from his game farm. Let's talk about this issue and how it has impacted on the President's own image.
Yeah, no. Remember that the President used the anti-corruption ticket when he took over as the state president. So, and we've seen how he fought corruption. Those that were seen to be involved in corruption were actually dealt with. So when the Phala scandal broke, it really dealt a blow to the anti-corruption campaign that the president is known for. And the matter, you rightly say that while the ANC members of parliament did not vote in favor, there are still, law enforcement agencies like the Hawks that are still looking at the matter. You would remember that the ANC Integrity Commission was supposed to have presented its report to the ANC National Executive Committee, which was expected that it would be discussed at the recent national conference. It's still a matter that is going to be discussed. We know that the ANC is going to conclude its business of conference through, virtually, as it could not conclude everything during in the past 2 weeks. So this is the matter that would still, top the agenda. Whether at the last, at the last days of the conference or the first National Executive Committee, the fact of the matter is that the issues that the ANC will have to look at is it safe for the party to go into the 2024 elections with the president who has got a cloud hanging over his head, but it might also be that the president might grab the opportunity to clear his name, as we've seen a businessman from who has been interviewed by certain media houses, who has actually confirmed that he paid money for the Phala. So it remains to be seen if indeed the president will manage to clear his name.
Now, Matuma, when you look at the issue here, as you probably have observed, is that Ramaphosa's version of events is improbable, and to make matters worse or much worse for him, the statement he submitted to the panel is astonishingly low on details. Was this because he assumed the whole matter would simply be chucked out, or because he has something to hide?
Yeah, look, the panel, it was not expected that it will go into detail. The Parliament just asked the panel to look if indeed there's a case to answer for the president. And I expect that if there were to be a commission of inquiry, that's where you will then see those details that we did not see in the panel's report. So the panel did not have the powers to actually interrogate the president and other people who would be, helpful on this matter. The people who were in the house, the people within the intelligence services, perhaps even Arthur Fraser, who laid the allegations. So only it can only be through such an inquiry that we will begin to see much details. But for now, we having what we have. It's going to be interesting what the South African Receiver of Revenue will find in its investigation, the Reserve Bank and the Hawks. So it's really going to be a very busy year, for the president. And this happens a few months ahead of the general elections in 2024, the year that the ANC is supposed to, start its campaign.
Matuma, before I let you go, I also want us to take a look at the president's own response. He's approached the Constitutional Court for direct access to challenge the parliamentary Section 89 panel report, which, as it stands, could also lead to his impeachment, or, of course, it was challenged in Parliament and voted against. But a decision by the courts, do you think a court could probably even overturn or even question some of the submissions made by this panel?
Yeah, that is possible on technicality, but many have argued that if the president really wants to clear his name, he should just allow the processes. He should allow the inquiry to take his place so that he can really clear his name if indeed he's innocent on this matter.
That was Matuma Letsoalo. He's the managing director at Inside Politics. He was simply unpacking the top stories of 2022 in the continent, of course, including that victory by Morocco over Spain.